Hello, I'm Sensei Alex Kikuyo. The title of today's talk is Celebrating a Buddhist Thanksgiving. Before we get into that, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when I post talks in the future. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that'd be great too. This week, people all across the United States will be celebrating the holiday of Thanksgiving. During this time, they will share meals with family and friends, they'll watch some sports, and they'll probably gain a few pounds as well. Now, we wouldn't normally think of Thanksgiving as a religious holiday, much less a Buddhist holiday. However, there are many opportunities during this time for us to practice Buddhist ideals, thus moving ourselves and others closer to enlightenment. Specifically, we have the opportunity on Thanksgiving to practice generosity and gratitude. To explain how that works, I'm first going to read a passage from a text called the Ornament of Realization, also known as the Abhisamayalankara. Here it is. Now, this text was written by an individual known as a Sangha. He is the founder of Yogacara Buddhism. In addition to that, this text was written by a Sangha, but it was dictated by Maitreya Buddha after a Sangha spent 12 years in a cave meditating on his name. So a Sangha clearly was a deeply realized, deeply spiritual individual who had a lot of good things to say about Buddhist practice. In this text, one of the many things he's doing is explaining to us exactly what we need to do as bodhisattvas, as Buddhist practitioners, to move ourselves and others closer to enlightenment, to fulfill our vow to save all beings from suffering. So on that topic, Asanga says the following. The second, accompanied by asaya, the word means both aspiration and basis, and like refined gold, is from where he says a bodhisattva, a great being, should hear having stood in the perfection of wisdom, by way of not taking a stand on it, make perfect the perfection of giving. Having taken the stance that gift, giver, and recipient are not apprehended, up to and similarly should make complete the perfection of morality, the perfection of patience, the perfection of vigor, the perfection of concentration, and the perfection of wisdom, having taken the stance that wisdom and stupidity are not apprehended. This is because the intention for benefit and happiness systematized in the six perfections in this and future lives is immutable. So that last word, immutable, very powerful. Immutable means permanent, unchanging. So what Asanga is saying in the text is that we don't have a choice. If we want to practice Buddhism, if we want to save sentient beings from suffering, we have to practice the six perfections, which are the virtues that we try to cultivate within ourselves as Buddhists. One of those perfections is generosity, or as it's called in the text, giving. And he says we should practice giving for a very specific reason, because when we do so, giver, recipient, and gift are not apprehended. Now, this doesn't mean they don't exist, obviously. You're there giving the gift, the other person is there receiving it. However, it means that the separation between the two disappear. And this makes sense if we think about it intuitively. If I have my stuff over here and you have your stuff over there and I'm holding on to it and I don't want to share, there's a very strong separation. There's a gap between you and I. However, if I am generous, if I am giving with my gifts, if I reach out my hands in friendship and offer you food, let's say, like people will be doing tomorrow during Thanksgiving, what happens? That separation disappears. Now you and I, for a split second, are one and the same. A relationship forms between us. Gift, recipient, and giver are not apprehended. Now, This is important because we as Buddhists are taught that all beings possess Buddha nature. Thus, all beings are an aspect of the Buddha body, also known as the Dharmakaya. So when we practice giving, when we learn to see ourselves in other people, we are not just seeing them, we are seeing the Buddha himself. We are seeing the Dharmakaya, moving ourselves and others a step closer to enlightenment. So that's giving. But how do we practice gratitude on Thanksgiving? Well, that's by being the recipient of gifts. So when we sit down at our table or other people's tables, we'll be eating our food that we prepared. Most likely, we'll also be eating food prepared by other people. And as we receive those gifts of food from them, gratitude emerges within us. And if we take the time to reflect on that, not just scarf down the food mindlessly, but really focus on the fact that we were hungry. And now we're not because of the generosity of other people. Once again, we reinforce that relationship. We close the gap between us and them. It's no different than us giving an offering to the Buddha on our altar, or in this case, us being the Buddha on our altar and receiving a gift from other people. Thus, when we practice giving and gratitude on Thanksgiving, or any time for that matter, we learn to see the Buddha both in ourselves and others, moving both parties closer to enlightenment. Amitabha.